So the brotherly shove is here to stay, but the story behind what it took for Jason Kelce and Jeffrey Lurie to save the play is one for the ages. Plus, we're about to get a lot more access to the Eagles this coming season, and why the NFL should fear exactly what A.J. Brown just said. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Let's put Tush Push news aside for just 1 second, because I think a lot of us missed arguably the more interesting news that dropped yesterday that in a way affects us fans even more. Now sure, being able to run an unstoppable play for at least one more season is exciting, not going to diminish that, and in 1 second, I'll dive into the details behind what Jason Kelce and Jeffrey Lurie had to say during their hour-long defense of the play that resulted in yesterday's vote to keep the Tush Push alive. But while all this was going on, the NFL quietly announced its full lineup for HBO's Hard Knocks in 2025. Which included the Buffalo Bills being chosen as the show's training camp team to cover, followed shortly by the big announcement for us in Philly that the in-season version of the show will follow the NFC East and cover the division's complete season from start to finish, which will give us the fans some unprecedented access to what a season looks like behind the scenes for our beloved birds. Now speaking of behind the scenes, myself and Josh Davis went ahead and picked one subscriber randomly last night to go ahead and join us next Tuesday to meet the PhillyDawgs in Philadelphia at the NovaCare Complex, and that winner was JD Kingsley. JD, have not heard from you yet. We need to hear from you by Saturday, so go down below in my description box, send me an email, prove it's you. If we do not hear from JD by Saturday, myself and Josh Davis will do an emergency live show on Saturday to pick a new winner. You must be present to that to go ahead and win, because we must find a winner who actually responds to winning the prize to go ahead and come with us on Tuesday. It's the whole time constraint thing given us by the Eagles, but hit the notification bell and subscribe. If you see us go live on Saturday, you're going to want to hop in on that. But for all the great access the Eagles themselves give us via their unscripted YouTube channel, it still feels like the day in and day out grind of an NFL season is largely hidden from sight of the fans. And securing a weekly series detailing exactly what the birds are doing is going to be must-see TV. Of course, last season was the first time they debuted this whole divisional in-season sort of HBO show, and it followed the AFC North, which I watched and enjoyed, but it's a little different when it's your team instead of, say, watching the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although I will say the players themselves are probably not too excited about this if they have the same mindset as Devontae Smith had earlier this offseason on a podcast when he was asked about appearing on Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks before, right? Is it a curse?
It has to be a curse.
I wouldn't say it's a curse. I think they just pick teams they feel got a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of drama and stuff, which I'm surprised they haven't mentioned the idea of this. Yeah. Because I'm not going to lie. In Philly, it's a movie, man. If they had Hard Knocks with us, man, they'd be like, man, it's a crazy team. So I'm glad they ain't picked us.
But let's be honest, this is not going to actually affect the birds. I mean, the camera guys have done a really good job at HEO to kind of just blend in and disappear. The problem will come if there is any sort of drama, because we'll actually get to see what happens. But this goes to the access that Eagle fans don't normally get, the day-to-day meetings. What's it like, for interactions, players and coaches? We're going to learn a whole lot more. This is going to be a ton of fun, especially if you're a fan. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek. The Eagles' entire 2025 schedule is finally here. If you want to go to the link to watch the birds, well, the #1 rated ticketing app, SeatGeek, is your place to go. Whether it's the home opener versus the Dallas Cowboys, that one's going to be pretty fun. Or how about a Sunday night matchup in November versus the Detroit Lions? SeatGeek has every single Eagles game this season, both home and away, for you to choose from. Plus, SeatGeek also has tickets for all Philadelphia sporting events, whether it's Phillies or Flyers or eventually the Sixers again, as well as comedy shows, music festivals, and a whole lot more, with over 70,000 listed events. The past couple of years, I've used SeatGeek for every single time I've made a trip out to Philadelphia to watch the birds in person, because their rating system on a scale of 1 to 10 makes it so darn easy to score a great deal. Just look for the green dots. That, of course, means good deal. Yellow and red, I stay away from those. Get a green dot deal, and you're going to love it. So, of course, if you're grabbing tickets anytime soon, just download the SeatGeek app, link down below in my description box, and use promo code MOTT10, add it to your account, and get 10% off your purchase of tickets. We know you want to go to Eagles games. We know you're buying tickets, so go ahead and use SeatGeek to help you out. Now, I'm also pumped to watch A.J. Brown continue his dominance for yet another year in Philadelphia, as PFF just officially put out their wide receiver rankings heading into 2025, and well, A.J. Brown was #1. If any of your friends try and argue this, just simply show them the video by the guy who actually made the list himself, spitting some pretty hard facts that are undeniable as to why Brown is wide receiver 1 in 2025.
I have A.J. Brown as the best wide receiver in the NFL. From a 3-year sample size, A.J. Brown is the highest graded wide receiver that we have amongst these three. When you look at his overall receiving yard, Jamar Chase has actually played 350 more receiving snaps, and yet A.J. Brown has more receiving yards than he does at over 4,100, and Jamar Chase has just over 4,000. So he beats him in receiving yards there. Yards per reception, A.J. Brown is #1 amongst these three wide receivers at a 15.1. Receiving touchdowns, yes, Jamar Chase is higher, but A.J. Brown is second in front of Justin Jefferson with 25 compared to Justin Jefferson's 23. When you look at total drop passes over the last 3 years, years, of these three wide receivers, A.J. Brown has the least yards per route run. A.J. Brown has the most of these three wide receivers at 2.57. And then when you look at average depth of target, still 12.7. A.J. Brown, once again, number one. And then forced missed tackles per reception, A.J. Brown, number one amongst these three wide receivers at 55. So the 3-year sample size is totally there in A.J. Brown's favor.
I still think the craziest A.J. Brown stat of them all last season is that Philadelphia lost just one game that A.J. Brown played in 2024. And that one kind of had an asterisk because Jalen Hurts got injured early in that game at Washington, and Brown still went for 97 yards and a touchdown. And despite all that success, A.J. Brown told the media earlier this week that his sole focus this offseason is continuing to find ways to get even better in 2025.
The process is always the same, honestly, regardless of if we won or not. It's always watching film, trying to rediscover yourself and to get better and find new ways to get better. And because of you have to grow in this league. And if you don't, you'll get exposed, honestly. And as a team, just growing, pushing each other each and every day, not worrying about the results at the moment, but just worrying about the effort, I should say.
For a football team that's been starving for wide receivers for seemingly the past decade, I will never gloss over a chance to praise Devontae Smith or Howie Roseman or A.J. Brown any chance I can get. We are really in the golden age of the Philadelphia Eagles and the golden age of Eagle wide receivers, and I'm here for that 100%. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jordan Mailata for his leadership this offseason, following the Birds' very offensive line heavy draft back in April. Now, sure, Mailata is not getting replaced anytime soon at left tackle, but he could have easily looked at this new class of rookie competition and ignored them and focused solely on himself. But instead, he told the media earlier this week his entire plan is to do the exact opposite.
I love our rookies. This is a great rookie class, especially in our alignment. They work hard. And I told Miles, I told Cameron, and I told Drew, I said, I don't care if you come for my job. If you're better than me, you're going to be better than me. But I'm going to make it damn hard for you to reach that. But I'm going to bring you along. I'm not going to kick you down. I said, that's not how it runs here. It's not how we do it. I bring you along because you're going to make me better. And boy, that boy is pushing me.
Which one?
Both. All three of them. Drew doesn't even play tackle. I watch him run drills. I'm just like, damn, he's good. Well, I don't want to be complacent, you know? If I feel like someone's chomping at my heels, it's going to make me run faster.
And this alone might be able to win him the brand new NFL award deemed the Protector of the Year, announced yesterday, which will be decided by a panel of NFL standout offensive linemen at the end of every upcoming season and given to what they call the best offensive lineman in the NFL. And obviously, Philadelphia should have a few candidates in a very good position to win this award every single season, unless the NFL decides to just snub, say, Lane Johnson like they did last year when they gave Penei Sewell the All-Pro nod despite Lane's objectively better stats in nearly every category. We'll see what excuse the NFL makes this year in terms of not giving an Eagle Protector of the Year at the end of 2025, but if I had to put my money on who's going to win it, it's probably somebody wearing the jersey number 65. Now moving on to things that upset people today, and the latest exciting Mike's podcast just dropped with guest Saquon Barkley, whose opinion on the Birds' 2024 team as the greatest of all time has created a little bit of controversy around the league.
I firmly believe when you look at our team that we had last year, and I know we're not looking too far into the past.
To be fair, I totally agree with Saquon Barkley. I think it is a top 5 team all time, top to bottom, although the problem is we're all a little bit biased, especially people watching this show, because Eagle fans can be like, yeah, it's fantastic, so I'm not going to say if it's top 5 in the NFL or not, but I will give you my top 5 Eagles team of the past 20 years. And I have controversy from the beginning. Number 5, I think the 2010 Michael Vick-led Eagles were one of the greatest ever. There is a legit argument about this offense being put up against any other Eagles offense and being able to hold its weight. Prime Deshaun Jackson, prime Jeremy Maclin, prime LaShawn McCoy, and easily the best Michael Vick season ever. Defense is where it falls short a little bit here, but the Birds somehow hung on and actually beat the Packers in that wildcard game. I'm convinced to this day they would have gone on to win the Super Bowl. Number 4, I go with the 2017 Eagles Super Bowl team. Here's why. I'm not sure they were the greatest assembly of talent the Eagles have ever had or in the past 2 decades, but man, when they got hot, especially in the postseason, they were red hot. I do put them at 4 simply because I think the 3 teams ahead of them on my list would beat them head to head, but obviously 2017, they won the first Super Bowl. They're one of the OGs. They got to be on the list. At number 3, you have to acknowledge the 2004 Eagles. T.O., Javon Curse, Jeremiah Trotter, they were 13-1 at one point and only fell short in the Super Bowl because the offense and Don McNabb were a little suspect. I think defensively, they were super loaded, and so they deserve to be in the top 3. At 2, I have to put in the 2022 team because they were destroying everybody en route to the Super Bowl. The defense was extremely underrated, great linebackers, D-line was elite. The secondary was even great until the Super Bowl. I'd honestly bet a lot of money that this 2022 team was the greatest of all time until 2024, which naturally leads us to the number 1 team on my list, and how can you argue it's last year's Eagles? And while sure, you can definitely debate the previous 4 on the list, and I'm sure you will down below, but I'll listen to zero debate that last year's squad was anything but the best. Elite defense, absolutely loaded on offense, top to bottom, this group cannot be beat. This was the greatest Eagle team of all time. Now, it's just for fun, so let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I'm sure there'll be some debate, 2014, 2010 team, where does 2017 teams go? Give me your top 5 down below right now. I'll see if you guys are, on the same page or if you disagree. Now, of course, I've delayed long enough on the big news of the week, and that was yesterday's league-wide vote to keep the Tush Push in place, setting up many more weeks of teams complaining about the Birds' unstoppable play. And let's just get one thing clear at the very beginning here. This vote barely passed, like by the skin of its teeth. The NFL wants this play banned, but we're barely unable to do it just yesterday. 22 teams actually voted yes to ban the play. You can see them all here, so you know who to root against going forward.
But the banning thing of it, I think it's soft, to be honest. And like the teams that want to ban it, because everybody can do it. Like it's not like a play that like we only can do. Everybody can do.
Like trademark.
Yeah, and we happen to have one of the best and biggest O-lines, and Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds. Like that's not our fault. Like Josh Allen is super big. They're not successful as it. Lamar Jackson is one of the best running quarterbacks of all time. They're not successful with it. So it's not something that like everyone can't do. Right. So like them trying to eliminate it, it's just like, I think that's kind of lame.
But 9 amazing, faithful, unbelievable organizations decided to vote no and keep the play in place, including a ton of AFC teams, plus Kellen Moore's Saints and the Detroit Lions. This, of course, made the final vote 22 against the play and 10-4. Which happened to be the exact same score of the Eagles' playoff win versus the Green Bay Packers a few months ago. Of course, the Packers were the team that proposed the ban in the first place. In the end, though, it sounds like the over hour-long and passionate speech by both Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie and Jason Kelce yesterday might have been enough to move the needle, with one insider saying, quote, Lurie was like a guy trying to convince his girlfriend why she shouldn't leave him, and that Lurie was emotional, passionate, and at one point crude. So the fact this team came up with a play so unstoppable the rest of the league had no choice but to ban it was like a wet dream for a teenage boy. Towards the end of the address, he told the assembled owners that regardless of the day's result, he and his franchise would walk out winners with Super Bowl rings to show for it, which is awesome to hear. He just earned a lot of extra street credit inside the locker room, which Jeffrey Lurie already had, but to not only defend the play for over an hour, but at the end be like, you know what? You guys ban it. We're still Super Bowl winners anyway. Look at the rings to go ahead. Remember that. It's pretty crazy and fun to hear about. I do think in the end, though, the NFL wants this play banned and will eventually get its way. I'm not even going to be surprised if it's as early as next offseason. But until then, A, enjoy the Eagles continue to dominate with it, B, enjoy watching other teams try and fail to duplicate it, and C, simply just laugh at any of the wild takes that are going to take place over the next couple of weeks and months, like the Bears' new head coach Ben Johnson earlier this week saying he's not really interested in running the Tush Push.
Man, I tell you what, does it become an explosive play ever? Have you ever seen a Tush Push become an explosive play?
Does it become a first down or a touchdown?
Yeah, I like explosive play. I like big plays. So I'm not a big Tush Push guy myself.
It's still so funny to me that all the focus this offseason when it comes to Philadelphia has been on this one play for the Eagles and how unfair and unstoppable it is, while everyone else completely ignores the fact Philadelphia can score touchdowns a bunch of different ways and did so whenever they routed people in the postseason and during the regular season and obviously in the Super Bowl. Just because they're good at the Tush Push does not mean they're bad at everything else. They're probably better at everything else than they are simply at the Tush Push. Now, we, of course, have plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, including OTA coverage. Next week, the Birds are going to practice. Everybody's going to be there. Sure to go ahead and subscribe. Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.